Carol Bowen wishes to speak. Represent the Associated Builders and Contractors.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Carol Bowen, Associated Builders and Contractors. This is a top legislative priority for us this session. We appreciate your time today, and we want to thank our sponsor for his good work on this bill. Something that wasn't mentioned today, but I'll go ahead and preemptively do it. This is not the first time this bill has come up, and so I'm going to take a second to maybe explain why. This folder in front of me is a variety of local mandates from local jurisdictions that all differ from each other, and this is the small folder. When we started talking to you about these issues probably 4 years ago, they were maybe a little bit more general. We want to encourage local hire, we want to encourage workforce development, we want to encourage local training. As this discussion evolves and as more local governments jump into the fray of trying to do what they do legitimately believe is right for their constituents, the mandates change and get more stringent and get more severe. And so I'm just going to give you a couple of instances to explain. Last week, our National Association was in Fort Lauderdale for what's called Workforce Week. Companies from across the country had their skills and trades and craft employees competing on the floor of the convention center, building things and making bells and whistles go off. I'm obviously not a builder, so I'm not sure how they do it. But we thought it was a good opportunity to reach out to the local school systems. We contacted K-12 from Palm Beach County all the way to Miami, and we had roughly 100 to 200 students come and watch, learn about job opportunities, learn about career paths. If I was a private company bidding a job in that zip code, it would not matter that I invited folks from Palm Beach County to Miami to come and get exposure. If I was holding a job fair saying, come learn about Miami, I'm not going to get credit on some of these bid solicitations unless folks that come meet the zip code of the commission district where a building is going up. That is how specific these are being drawn. It's no more just a local hire. It's local hire by the zip code of the commission district where the building is going up. And so we think that if we're talking about job opportunities and we're talking about training opportunities, why is it only good for folks in a zip code for a project? For those 200 students that came and got experience, shouldn't we be grateful that they were even remotely interested in a career in construction and have now identified a career path that will help them and their families down the road? They may not be from that zip code, but I would venture to guess their local officials are grateful that they had that opportunity. I'm going to give you another example. We're the largest single provider of apprenticeship training in the state. You would assume that maybe we would like these apprenticeship training mandates. We don't, one, philosophically, because we don't like mandates. But when you look at apprenticeship training mandates, it's an opportunity to get credit in your bid when you propose it to the local government. But it's very specific. It's not just that you have apprentices on your job. It's that you have apprentices on your job who have trained with a specific group that is in the geographic region, or that have trained in a specific trade and only that trade. And so again, I have to ask you, what about that small businessman who has taken the initiative and is training his workers, but maybe isn't training with the right group? Are we doing a disservice to him by limiting what he can get points on? Are we playing favorites with who can help the private sector in these bid opportunities? Small businesses, large businesses, we are not sponges. We cannot continue to absorb endless amounts of mandates and still continue to be able to bid. And if you say to me, if I'm a small contractor from Palm Beach County and I get on a job in Broward, and you tell me that I have to hire 51% of my workforce from the local community, as a small contractor, I can tell you I'm probably going to have to let go of 51% of my current workforce in order to absorb the costs that you just imposed on me. And so that while that may benefit that constituent on that project, what happens to the employees I've just laid off? All we're doing is playing a shell game and moving opportunities and playing favorites and cherry-picking winners and losers. And so if we're about workforce development, let's be about it uniformly. If we're about job opportunities, don't look to construction to provide you with the opportunities and then also limit how well we can help you. We voluntarily do job fairs. We work with Boys and Girls Club. We work with Career Source. We go to community groups. We help employ Miami-Dade. We do that voluntarily because we have the largest skilled worker shortage in existence. And so what we are looking for is the opportunity to just get out there and bring folks in and not be told we're getting in trouble if we're not doing it by the finite permissions that you give us. So we do think the 50% threshold is fair. To clarify a point that was brought up, regardless of the wage rate, local governments, I think we can all agree, will never not be without their paperwork. They are never not going to say, we need your payroll, we need your employee list, we need proof of your workers' comp coverage. That doesn't go away depending on the wage rate that they impose. That remains in place. And the second amendment in place on today's bill, we think addresses the concerns. We don't want bad actors having the ability to work on projects any more than you do. They undermine the industry, and they give us all a bad name. And so we appreciate your support of those two amendments. We do think it brings us to the middle ground, and I'm here if you have questions, but we'd hope for your support.